You've tried to forget this person, to convince yourself it was just a passing moment, to pretend it was over. But despite yourself, this thought returns. This name crosses your mind in quiet moments, a dream, a memory, a feeling. You tell yourself it's over, but your heart doesn't listen. What if it wasn't just a simple attachment? What if Allah, in His silence, was saying to you, this person only wants you, and until you are reunited, certain things will continue to happen in your life? This is not fiction. It is a profound spiritual reality, one that many experience without understanding. In this message, you will discover why this feeling persists, why certain trials repeat themselves, and how Allah sometimes prepares two hearts to reunite them at the perfect moment. Stay until the end. What you are about to hear could change your perspective, or even confirm what your soul already feels. 1. The heart that does not detach. The invisible sign. There are hearts that Allah has attached in a way that even time, distance, or the distractions of the dunya cannot detach. Do you think you'll forget it? Do you think you can move on? But there's this silent sensation that returns every time you sit down, every time you close your eyes, every time you make dhikr. You feel this presence in your heart, not intrusive, but persistent. It's not a disordered attachment. It's not an obsession. It's this fitra, this nature that God has placed within you, that recognizes that something is not yet over, that someone has not yet left, and Allah, in His Rahmah, continues to send you subtle reminders, a dream, a name that returns, a coincidence. But in truth, there are no coincidences with Allah. You pretend not to think about that person anymore, but your soul doesn't play that game. It knows, it smells, it still carries a trace, like a sweet fragrance that floats in a place where the person is no longer, but where their presence has never truly left. It's not pain, it's depth. It's a love you didn't seek in the haram, that you didn't fuel with sin, but that was born in the silence of modesty, in the honesty of a restrained gaze, in the cleanliness of a bond never consummated. And perhaps that's why it remains, because it's not the ego that demands it. It's the soul that recognizes it. You wondered if it was you who was holding on, but maybe it's not you. Maybe it's Allah who's keeping you from letting go. Not so that you stay stuck, but so that you understand that this story wasn't empty, that this connection wasn't just emotional. It carried meaning, a mission, a future, and sometimes that future needs to wait because one of you isn't ready yet, or because what you have to experience together hasn't yet been built. Perhaps you haven't yet become the person you need to be to love properly. Neither has she. And meanwhile, Allah keeps the connection alive, silently, discreetly, deeply. There are connections He doesn't sever, because they aren't just feelings. They're reminders, triggers, keys. They uplift you, they awaken you, they shape you. So if your heart won't let go despite your best efforts, maybe it's not attachment that's the problem. Maybe it's your soul waiting for destiny to align. 2. Divine obstruction. Why others don't work. You meet other people, you try, you open the door, you give it a chance, but deep down, something is blocking you, not always obviously. Sometimes it's subtle, a detail, an atmosphere, a coldness, an inner unease. You don't feel the peace, the coherence, the fluidity you were hoping for, and you don't understand. You do things properly. You make dua, you consult, you proceed cautiously. But it doesn't work. Why? In Islam, there is a principle that nullifies any illusion of misdirected effort. Ma kana li gayrik lan yusibak. What is not written for you will never reach you. You can force it. You can invest yourself. You may even believe it's the right choice. But if it's not your Qadr, Allah will make you feel it. And sometimes, by making you fail, it's not a punishment, it's a protection. It's mercy disguised as frustration. We too often forget that Allah doesn't only guide toward what is good, He also guides away from what is not. And that's when you must start reading the signs backward, when everything seems blocked for no reason. It may not be that you're unlucky. It may be that Allah is protecting a sacred alignment you don't yet see, because He knows. He knows that if you cling to what is barely accessible, you risk missing out on what is destined. He knows that if you accept what is average, you could lose what is blessed. So sometimes, He shuts down. He interrupts. He creates unexplained discomfort. Because this heart you want to give, He wants to keep for the one He has chosen for you since Allah al-Mahfuz. You may be irritated by this repeated blockage. You may feel like it's a curse. But what you don't see is that with each no, Allah brings you closer to the perfect yes. And perhaps this perfect yes is the bond your heart refuses to forget. The one that remained. The one that left its mark. The one you haven't been able to replace despite all your attempts. You think you're wasting your time waiting or hoping, but perhaps it was your heart that saw rightly, while your logic fought against it. And if Allah keeps you apart from others, it's not to punish you for your past, nor to leave you alone in your present. Perhaps it's to preserve your future, a future where your love will not be wasted, where your respect will not be ignored, where your heart will be received as an amana and not as an option. 3. The du'as that recur, the secret of spiritual persistence. There's this du'a, the one you've tried to abandon, the one you've tried to drown in routine, to extinguish with logic, to bury under maybe it wasn't for me. But it comes back, again and again, like a fluttering of wings in your heart, gentle but persistent. You sometimes wake up thinking of it. You whisper it in your quietest sujuds. You address it without strength, sometimes wearily, sometimes with tears. But it lives. It comes back. It insists. Because perhaps it's not you who insists. It is Allah who inspires this invocation in you, because He knows that one day He will answer it. You think you're making this dua of your own accord, but who turns hearts? Who inspires tongues? Rabba yulhimuka ad-du'a li yastajiba. Your Lord inspires you to pray so that you may respond to it. And if He continues to place this person on your tongue, on your heart, in your silence, it's because He hasn't closed the door. Not yet. Because what you're asking for is in the making. Because He works in the invisible while you wait helplessly. You don't see what He's correcting in others. You don't see the walls He breaks down, the pride He polishes, the wounds He heals. And you too are a work in progress. You think you're ready, but Allah sees further. He knows what you will become when you have grown further, when your heart has become stable, when your intention is purified. That is why He does not bring two souls together while one of them is still incomplete. He does not create a blessed bond on an unstable foundation. He prefers to make you wait, rather than give you something too soon and have you destroy it through ignorance or immaturity. And in this waiting, He refines your ikhlas. You move from I want to, O Allah, if it is for me, make it easy. You move from passionate insistence to spiritual acceptance. And that is when you understand that your heart is submitting, not to absence, but to divine wisdom. Perhaps the one who wants only you is praying too. Perhaps in another place, a soul continues to make this same dua. Perhaps Allah is making you make the same supplication at the same time, without you realizing it. And He is just waiting for the right moment for your paths, your gaze, your destinies to cross, not too soon, not too late, just when your union becomes a mercy and not a trial. So never disregard a dua that recurs, because if Allah reminds you of it, it means He has not forgotten you. 4. Repetitive trials. What continues until you are reunited. You wake up once again with that familiar heaviness in your chest. You promised yourself, this time I'll handle it better. This time I won't fall into the same traps. But there it is. It's happened again. Same pattern, same pain, same silence after the wait, same coldness after the sincere outpouring. You ask yourself, why does it keep coming back? Why do I relive this scene like an endless movie? And in this repetition, there is a message, a code, a divine pedagogy, because Allah teaches you. And when a student doesn't understand the lesson, the master repeats it, not out of anger, out of love, out of a desire to perfect this heart before entrusting it to another. You think you're choosing poorly. But in truth, these are scenarios that Allah uses to reveal what still needs to be healed within you. He shows you your impatience, your need for validation, your overly quick attachment. He highlights what you hide beneath sincere intentions, the fear of loneliness, the need to be loved without loving yourself. He exposes you to yourself, again and again. And each repetition is like an examination room. You have the same questions, but this time, maybe you have a chance to answer better, with more calm, with more faith, with less of you and more of Him. Because there is a painful but necessary reality. The one Allah has chosen for you will not be able to tolerate unfinished versions of you. Not those who doubt with every silence. Not the ones who crumble at every rejection. Not the ones who take breakups as curses, instead of seeing them as learning experiences. Allah wants to unite you with this person when your love is capable of uplifting, not consuming. When your faith is stronger than your fears. When your stability no longer depends on their presence, but on the presence of Allah. And perhaps this person on the other end is experiencing the same repetitions, the same disappointments, the same lessons, and Allah in His infinite justice wants you to grow together. Not one before the other, but together, each in their own corner, until the precise moment when you are able to walk side by side, no longer toward your desires, but toward Him. So you continue to live again, to fall, to rise again. Not because you are cursed, but because you are prepared. And when you begin to react differently to what has always hurt you, when you say, Alhamdulillah, instead of, why me? Logically, when you choose to turn to Allah rather than to what you lack, then the repetition will end, because you will have understood the lesson. And when the lesson is mastered, the challenge becomes the key that opens the door to that person, the one who only wants you. The silence of Allah, when He says nothing but shows you everything. There are days when you pray, but there is no answer. You ask for a sign, but it doesn't come. You make dua with hope, and you return empty-handed. Nothing. Silence. Emptiness. Waiting. And it is in these moments that hearts waver. Some stop, some turn away. But those who know the nature of Allah remain, because they know. The silence of Allah is not an absence. It is a communication on a deeper level that only refined hearts can grasp. Allah speaks in the invisible. He does not impose Himself on you with noise. He shapes you with patience. And sometimes the greatest sign isn't in what you see, but in what you feel, in His presence. Are you asking for an answer? But look at your own heart. Does it easily turn away from her or him? Does it find peace in other arms? Or is it that, despite the silence, despite the detours, despite the absence, does that peace always return when you think of that person? Not excitement, not passion, but sakina, that inner calm that you can't create alone, that relief that comes neither from a voice nor a look, but from a gentle, discreet certainty that settles when you connect with what is written. When Allah wants something for you, He doesn't shout. He gently guides your heart. He cuts you off from paths that lead nowhere. He doesn't crush you with obvious facts. He shapes you with silences. And in these silences, He places signs. A name you hear too often, a strange dream, a reminder that falls like an echo of your own doubt. And you feel. You feel that despite everything you're going through, everything you're seeking. You always come back to the same point, not because you're stuck, but because your heart has been adjusted to beat sincerely in only one direction. You see, sometimes Allah tests the sincerity of your love not by saying yes, but by saying nothing. And this silence becomes the mirror of your faith. Do you continue? Do you hold on? Do you trust even when you don't understand? For He wants to see if you can love with tawakkul, if you can hope without clinging to the answer, if you can remain loyal to what your heart feels, even when your mind doubts. Then never despise silence, because in reality, perhaps it is in this silence that Allah has already shown you everything. If there is one thing you must remember, it is that nothing is left to chance when Allah writes a story between two souls. Every wait, every detour, every silence contains meaning. And sometimes what you experience is not an obstacle, it is a refinement. So if this message has spoken to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, comment with a heart or a prayer if you feel this message is intended for you. You never know who Allah wants to reach through you. And above all, never forget, what God wants to unite, nothing can separate.